Hello and welcome back. Last English lesson of this week. And again, we're going to look at that model text. We're going to revise what we did yesterday, and then we're going to look at the grammatical features that we've used in this text in order to make it more interesting to read and give us the detail we need in order to carry out the instructions. So first, let's read it through again, just to refresh ourselves. Also, just to get it into our heads so that each time we think about them, we know roughly how the model text goes. This just helps us when we come to write it later. We've kind of got that in our heads and we can hear it being said. That means it will make it easier for us to write. So, how would you get your own back on a beastly adult? Have you ever felt injustice at an adult's actions? Do you ever feel like they don't play by the rules? Is there that feeling in the pit of your stomach that there is something unfair in the way an adult gets away with treating others badly? Don't despair. Help is at hand. Stand against the injustice and get retribution for those actions. Just follow these easy step-by-step instructions, and soon those adults will have what they warrant for their erroneous actions. What you will need: a hat, some super glue, and a walking stick. What have you to do? Firstly, make sure no one is around to see what you do. You might have to wait a while. Secondly, carefully use the walking stick to lift the hat down off the peg. After that, get ready to place the super glue around the rim of the hat. Patiently wait until you know they're about to leave the house. Before they're about to leave, spread the super glue around the hat and quickly lift the hat back onto the peg, being careful not to touch the glue. Eventually, the adult will leave, placing the hat upon their head. Finally, try to remain calm when the adult spends the rest of their day trying in vain to remove the hat. Justice is served. Important note: these instructions must only be used in the most dire of circumstances. You must make sure that only the adult that deserves the punishment puts the hat on. You may have to distract others from wearing it. One last thing: you must be very cautious when applying the super glue. You wouldn't want to end up like the child with his finger stuck up his nose. Okay, so a quick recap of the structural parts. We're going to go down one side with the structural parts. What can you remember? Pause now, see how much of it you can remember, make a little quick note, and then see which ones you forgot. Okay? Let's go. First, we have the title, followed by the subtitles, allowing us to split the instructions apart and allowing the reader to pick the parts that they want to have a look at. Then we have the introduction, and this allows the reader to know what the instructions are about, how they may be used, but also as a slight hook to draw the reader in, knowing that these are the instructions that are going to help them do what they want to do. We have a bullet pointed list. This is just a list of anything that they might need, and it doesn't matter the order in which you get them, just have to have them all. Then we have our steps in chronological order. Chronological order meaning in time order, which is very important, because if you do the steps in the wrong order, the outcome won't be a finished product or won't be what you want it to be, and you might not come out with what you think. If you think back to the tea example, you can't very well put hot water into a cup that you haven't even got out of the cupboard yet. Finally, you have the additional information. And this additional information is anything which will help the reader understand things that they might need to know about the instructions or need to be careful about, or they can be used in a different way. So what we're now going to do is look at some of the sentence level and word level tricks that are used in this set of instructions in order to make them more interesting or more precise in the way that they're used. The first thing we've got is rhetorical questions. Now, these are put in here to hint at the reader that these are the instructions that they want to use. You ask them a question, you don't need an answer. You know that if they're looking at these set of instructions, that this is going to be the case, but it pulls them in thinking that these are the instructions that are going to answer those questions or give them a way to get around them. The next one is a short sentence for impact. And we started using this in our last one, but by changing the length of our sentences, it means that more importance is put on certain parts. So when you have a short, sharp sentence, or two in this case, it sticks in the reader's memory and it actually hits them slightly harder than that long sentence they've got drawn out. It's a bit of a change, something that stands out. We also have expanded noun phrases, the easy step-by-step instructions. What you're doing is making sure that the noun, the instructions, is expanded upon so that when you look at it, it is really precise in what you're telling them to do or explaining what it is. This is important because when you're doing a set of instructions, you need to be as specific as you possibly can for the reader to know what they've got to do. Our next one is time connectives, and we talked about this in our second lesson as something we can add into instructions in order to show the chronological order and the way in which we go about it. These are very good and help us show the order we need to do things in, give us a little bit of additional piece of information to go with as we go through. Then we've got fronted adverbials. These can tell us, the reader, where, when, or how to do an instruction or to do something. Much like before they're about to leave, it tells us the time at which we need to do that. It's linked to time connectives, but is it a phrase rather than anything else? And time connectives can be used as fronted adverbials as well. This is really important because it allows the reader to know a very particular information about when to do whatever the imperative verb that they're thinking of. Talking about imperative verbs, every single instruction has an imperative verb in it. It is what you are going to do, that verb that tells you exactly the action that you're going to do. Then we have additional information given using subordinate clauses, and this can be anything. So in this case, you may have to distract others from wearing it. It allows you to give more information beyond the original main clause of your sentence, and just gives you that extra bit of further information that the reader knows exactly what you're talking about. And finally, you can actually link the information or the important note to the reader. You'll notice here that I said you, I've addressed this to the reader. You wouldn't want to end up like the child with his finger stuck up his nose. And what you're doing is making the instructions personal to the reader and making them feel like that the instructions are meant for them. I hope this makes sense. We will go through this and we'll hit it again and again as we're talking about the shared right next week and thinking about how to plan our own ones, where we can fit these in and where they can be used. I'm going to leave you with the last one, which is the key vocab. Just so you can see, this is where they all come in. We've looked at them before, but of course, this is another trick used just to point out the important words that we've used, or the words to draw the reader in an interesting way. Okay, so your short right task for today's lesson. What you're going to do is using the model text to create an additional information, that last part, for the trick that you wrote the introduction for yesterday. Again, you can look at the class text video from yesterday to help you think about this. What you're trying to do is think about what additional information somebody else might need in order to carry out that particular trick on an adult, what they might need to be careful about, any safety things they need to be careful about, or any other situations they might be able to use a set of instructions for. Try to think about any of these tricks, these grammatical features that they might be able to use in that important note to make it more impressionable on the reader. I hope you enjoyed our English this week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.